Want to know the real secret to making Reels and YouTube Shorts that hook people in the very first 3 seconds? I'm about to show you a workflow that makes your vertical content truly pop, especially by using AI to handle the heavy lifting. Forget editing on your phone for the initial assembly. Desktop editing is a complete lifesaver for precision and speed. You get way more control over the timeline, use essential keyboard shortcuts, and avoid those frustrating app crashes. CapCut's desktop app is fantastic for that final deep dive polish. But let's be honest, nobody enjoys combing through hours of raw footage. That's precisely where a tool like Vizard changes the entire game by automating the tedious parts. It scans your long videos, automatically pulls out all those viral-worthy moments, and hands you a stack of ready-to-edit clips. Suddenly, instead of spending an age scrubbing the timeline, you're just a few clicks away from a punchy short ready for action. Okay, let's jump into the technical start. The aspect ratio is critical for vertical content. The very first move when importing your clip is switching the project ratio to 9:6 for that true vertical phone frame. Once that's set, jump into transform settings and increase the scale until the frame feels perfectly top to bottom, but don't go too far. When you film, make sure to leave good breathing room around your head and shoulders, so zooming doesn't feel awkward or claustrophobic. Next, reposition your shot so you are roughly centered in the frame, aiming for an average anchor point where you sit across the clip. If you recorded external audio separately, just drag that track onto the timeline and let your editor auto-sync the 2 audio sources. After you've confirmed the sync, immediately mute that camera's onboard, lesser quality mic to avoid any echo. I always make the audio tracks taller so I can easily see the waveforms, which is super helpful for precise trimming right to the voice. Color correction is something I tackle early on just to set the overall mood and visual vibe of the piece. Bump up the saturation a bit so everything reads clearly, even on those tiny smartphone screens. Tweak the warmth and tint to make sure skin tones look natural, and always adjust contrast so your face doesn't just disappear. This quick pass gives you a much better feel for the final product as you start moving into the actual cutting phase. Now let's talk about speed, literally, because mastering keyboard ripple editing will save you literally hours of time. You must learn the core hotkeys like split at playhead, ripple delete, and nudging clips left or right for fine tuning. If you're on CapCut, Q and S are your best friends, but every serious editor has key equivalents for these fundamental moves. Work in short chunks, meticulously removing those tiny, almost unnoticeable pauses between your words. Online attention spans are brutal, and a few milliseconds of silence can genuinely feel like an eternity to the viewer. Zoom right in on those cut points and trim frames until the vocal rhythm snaps with energy, but keep it punchy, not robotic. The key is to shave off the fluff while still preserving the natural cadence and flow of your speaking voice. A pro trick that makes transitions feel incredibly tight is punching between different zoom levels in your cuts. You might start slightly wider, cut to a tight close-up for an important line, and then immediately cut back out to the wider view. But here's the crucial part. Don't scale arbitrarily. You absolutely must line up the eyeline between the 2 different shots. If the eyes sit at different vertical positions in the close-up versus the wide shot, viewers get jarred by the shift, creating friction. Nudge and reposition those clips until the eyes sit on the same consistent horizontal and vertical plane for seamless cutting. It won't always be picture perfect, but striving for that consistent eyeline makes every cut feel much more professional and smooth. Captions are non-negotiable because, frankly, most people watch your content with the sound completely off. Auto-caption tools are helpful, and editors like CapCut have templates to generate synced text instantly. Where most creators mess up is placement. Keeping captions centered forces the viewer's eye movement to stay small and focused. Make sure to bump the font size up. Aim for at least 16 or whatever clearly reads well on a phone held at arm's length. Always use a high contrast color or add a subtle shadow so that text remains legible no matter what footage is behind it. If you opt for animated captions, play around with templates, but never over-animate to the point of distraction. And if the auto-transcription gets a word wrong, take 2 minutes to fix it. That small edit saves viewers from total confusion. For layering graphics like small icons or subtle B-roll, keep everything understated to drive home your specific points. Using PNGs with transparent backgrounds gives you those clean pops without any ugly white boxes creeping in. Animate them simply with a slide up or slide down motion. These kinds of moves look the most natural to the eye. For a really slick look that adds depth, duplicate your video track, remove the background on the lower copy, and place your graphic between them. This places the graphic element behind you, creating a slick, professional separation in just a few clicks. And yes, emojis are totally fine. They add personality and act as a quick visual cue for the audience. Just add them as text elements. Give them a tiny bounce animation in and out, but don't turn every line into a circus. 1 or 2 perfectly timed emojis are far more effective than a constant, overwhelming barrage of cartoon icons. Sound design is truly the cherry on top that elevates your otherwise good footage to something excellent. While your editor has a library, I strongly suggest a licensed library like Epidemic Sound for any platform to completely dodge copyright issues. Use a main music bed, but keep its volume very low, ensuring your voice always remains the absolute king of the track. Sprinkle in transition sound effects, or SFX, on your cuts to give every change a satisfying sense of impact. Place those sound effects precisely by hunting down the exact frame where the cut happens and aligning the tiny whoosh there. That tiny added sound firmly anchors the visual edit and creates a deeply satisfying experience for the listener's ear. When it comes to exporting, simply match the settings you shot in. If it was 4K 50 FPS, export it exactly that way. Keep the codec standard, like H.264, which is reliable, and consciously avoid overcompressing your final clear mobile file. Now let's circle back to highlight the actual difference between doing all this manually versus using Vizard for the grunt work. Vizard's auto-editing takes that long stream, finds the highest engagement spikes, and spits out clips already formatted and caption-ready. This lets you skip that painful hour-long scrub session and jump straight to the creative choices like thumbnails and CTA wording. It's not a magic box that replaces your skill. Think of it more as a massive time amplifier for your editing efforts. Use the AI to harvest the good parts. Import to your desktop editor to align eyelines, tweak the color, and then export out. Automation also hits scheduling, which is a headache most creators completely ignore until it causes them serious problems. Vizard's auto-schedule feature lets you set a posting frequency, and it automatically queues and publishes the content for you. Combine that with a content calendar to visualize exactly what's going out, when, and across which platform. It's a game changer. The alternative means spending hours manually pulling clips from a 90-minute stream, or dealing with low-quality edits from other AI services. Vizard seems to hit that sweet spot, producing quick, practical clips that require minimal cleanup before posting. It won't be perfect because editing always needs a human touch, but the time saved lets you iterate on hooks and thumbnails. If you're a power editor, desktop tools lock advanced features like background removal behind subscription paywalls. If your time is worth more than that monthly fee, the return on investment for using Vizard for the heavy lifting becomes totally obvious. So, the recommended day-to-day workflow is record with extra headroom, run raw through Vizard for initial cuts and captions. Import those chosen clips into your main editor, switch to 9:16, perfectly match the eye lines between the different shots. Apply your quick color pass, center, and tidy up the captions. Add a tasteful graphic or one emoji, and finalize music levels. Export at your original resolution and frame rate, then immediately drop everything into the scheduling tool to automate the posting. This entire process becomes fast, easily repeatable, and keeps your creative energy focused on the actual hooks that matter. If you want to learn the deep dive masterclass on every desktop shortcut, go for it. But for pure growth, automate the repetitive steps. Focus your energy where it counts. Better hooks, better thumbnails, and relentlessly testing variations to maximize your reach. That's the core overview for boosting your short-form output efficiency starting today. If you want a quick reference checklist for your desk, covering filming tips, edit order, and the eyeline trick, just let me know. I can write up a neat guide you can copy straight into your workflow, or you can just go shoot something and try that eyeline trick right now. You will absolutely notice how much smoother and more professional all your cuts look after mastering just that one little alignment step.